What is going on, GBA universe? My name is Brandon and welcome back for week number 6 of the GBA Waiver Wire show. A show where we take a Pokemon that wasn't drafted in the league this year and, make an argument to why it should have been drafted in the GBA this year. And of course, last week we did Raikou in the first straw poll vote of the GBA Waiver Wire show, where you guys come up with the suggestions of who we should do and vote on who we should do on the Waiver Wire show. Of course, last week we had Raikou, and I heard a lot about Rash Raikou, and I know that Rash Raikou is the only Raikou that can get Aura Sphere, but I put Timid on it. It was a whole debacle. I got roasted in the comments like I should have, because I should have just put the Rash Nature on it, but we let bygones be bygones. But of course, why wait any longer? This week we got the Psychic type evolution introduced to us in Gen 2. It's Espeon. Now looking at the stats, we can see the 65 in HP, 65 in attack, 60 in defense, the 130 in the special attack, the 95 in the special defense, and the 110 speed. So this thing does two things really well. Actually, maybe three, give or take. It hits on the special side hard. It can defend against some special hits with that 95 special defense stat, but it's still got really low HP, so you gotta be careful. And it moves really quickly with the 110 speed. Now when it comes to what Espeon can do for you in the Counter League format, well, it's a special wall breaker with that 130 special attack stat, like I just mentioned. It has, in my opinion, one of the most underrated abilities in the game in Magic Bounce, especially in something like the Counter League format, where entry hazards and things like that can be so vital in matches. Magic Bounce is a huge way of stopping those hazards from coming and even avoiding them and putting them on your opponent's side of the field. And of course, Espeon can do a lot of supporting. Now, it doesn't have the widest move pool when it comes to being offensive, but when it comes to being a support mon, Espeon has quite a few moves that not a lot of Pokemon get at all. So we'll definitely be looking at some of those. Now, why should Espeon have been drafted? Like I said earlier, Espeon's rocking a great special attack stat and can definitely do some wall breaking if needed. It has okay special defense. Paired up with that HP, it's not the greatest, but if you use it properly and you use it carefully, you could buy some time and allow for some setup. And it's personally, like I said, its move pool is not the most diverse offensively, but again, it's got so many support moves that you can use on it, and we're going to see some of those. But the reasons I think it wasn't drafted, well, the two biggest reasons that I think Espeon was not drafted and doesn't see a lot of play in the Counter League format, there's two reasons. One is knock, the other one is off. Knockoff. Once knockoff got buffed in the 6th generation, it took down a lot of Psychic type threats, and Espeon was one of them. It's so frail on the physical side with that 60 defense and the 65 HP that one knockoff, if you're holding something, even if you're not holding something, you're going down pretty much. Like, there's not a lot of hits that Espeon's taking when it comes to a knockoff. Of course, the aforementioned not that diverse offensive move pool kind of disallows it from being drafted in a Counter League format, and I just feel like it's outclassed by things like Gardevoir, Reuniclus, and Alakazam when it comes to strong Psychic types. I mean, there's a lot of strong Psychic types. It seems like when we get to Psychic types, there's a lot of special attack power and all that, and a lot of Pokemon are going to get lost in the mix, and it seems like Espeon has been one of those Pokemon who's really gotten lost in the mix. But without further ado, let's get over to Pokemon Showdown. I'm going to see what we can do with Espeon. Now, personally, I've never used Espeon in Pokemon very much at all, so my sets might be a little weird, but they're the way I could see myself using an Espeon. So with that, let's get into it. Now, the first set I have here is a wall breaking set. You could run Magic Bounce or Synchronize pretty much on most of these. It doesn't really matter. It depends what you're facing. You can kind of fine tune towards that. So choice specs: Magic Bounce, Psychics, Dazzling Gleam, Signal Beam, and Shadow Ball. And you could change it if you need a hidden power somewhere. You can put that in instead of Signal Beam. You could use Psyshock instead of Psychic. But for the most part, this is going to offer you pretty good coverage, and it's going to be hitting hard, so you can get rid of something that's, causing you a lot of issues. Now, here's where we start to get into the more supportive Espeons, which are definitely not easy to use. Don't get me wrong, these are not easy Espeons to use. You need a very specific situation to use these, but if you can find those situations, you can probably really capitalize on it because people might not see it coming. So this one's got the Light Clay, Magic Bounce, Reflect, Light Screen, Baton Pass, and Calm Mind. Now, there's another way you could do this set as well, but the way I thought of doing this was you get in there against something that's special. You can set up a Light Screen and just take a bunch of special hits and then start using Calm Mind, and you can pass that out. But you could also sub in Baton Pass, you could actually sub in Stored Power if you're not facing any dark types. What that's going to do, that's going to allow you to get all those Calm Minds up, and then you can hit it with the, whatever it is with the Stored Power and do a bunch of damage while you're just taking light screen. You're taking special hits because the light screen is up. Use Reflect if you just kind of want to go into something else, but if you get the light screen up, you can take special hits quite well, and then you could keep on just Calm Minding, and then Stored Power, or you could go Calm Mind, Baton Pass. You can use either or. I have the Baton Pass on here right here, but you could do it pretty much either way. The next that we have here is Life Orb, Magic Bounce. Again, it could be synchronized depending on what you're facing. It's got Calm Mind, Psychic Blast, Dazzling Gleam, and Hidden Power. I just put the regular Hidden Power because you could be Hidden Power Fire you might need Hidden Power Grass, you might need Hidden Power Ground, you might need Hidden Power Fighting if you're facing a Bisharp, I don't know. This one's got 4 EVs in HP, 252 in special attack, 252 in speed. It's timid. You could also run it as modest if you don't need all the speed. You could run it with less EVs and speed, put them somewhere else if you need them, all depending on what you're facing. Espeon sitting at that 110 base speed is pretty damn speedy, so if you only needed to outspeed certain things, only put the certain amount of EVs in. I've gone through this before in the last videos I've done, so. But this one's basically a setup Espeon if you have the chance. You probably won't, but you know, you can always have the Calm Mind there to just give you that extra oomph if you need it. And of course, this one is the Leftovers Synchronize, Wish, Heal Bell, Psychic, and Protect. Basically, this one can act as a Cleric if you handle it right, but again, using Espeon as a Cleric is really hard just because of that physical defense stat being so low and the HP not being that great. It's just hard to use Espeon as a Cleric. You could use a set like this to be a Cleric to get the Wish off, and then you can go off, or you get the Wish off, Protect to get your own HP back, but I would never recommend Espeon being your designated, like, don't go into a draft saying, I'm going to get Espeon because they need a Cleric. No, because that defense stat's way too low and the HP is way too low. But if you want a specialized Cleric for maybe 1 week that you can see an opportunity to do it, absolutely. I would think it would throw people off to get a Heal Bell Espeon. I don't think I've seen one of those, but again, I haven't faced many Espeons. I don't use many Espeons, so. But that is what I got for Espeon. Of course, next week we have the straw poll in the description below for next week's Pokemon of choice. We got Exploud, Regice, Houndoom, Go-Goat, Scyther, and Clawitzer. I feel like Scyther might have some sort of advantage. I don't know. I think some guy in the league kind of likes Scyther or something like that. I'm not sure, though. Make sure you vote on the straw poll down below so you can have a say in what you get to see next week on the Waiver Wire show. And that is going to be it for me this week, guys. Make sure you go follow the GBA on Twitter, go to the GBA site. Again, all that stuff is in the description. As for me, I have to go set the straw poll, so Steve can't just keep on voting for Scyther. So I have to go do that. But have a good week, guys. Make sure you go down there and vote. Leave a comment on what would you like to see. Also, leave me your Espeon sets. I'd like to see some extra Espeon sets. Let me know what you thought of the ones I came up with, and I will see you guys next week right here on the Waiver Wire show.